Hello, everybody. Uh, I put a poll up on my Instagram, which is Sheev Palpatine. A vote between the Mongol Empire or the art of war. And, the Mongol Empire won, so that shall be today's review. Now, the Mongol Empire, written by John Mann. Now, if you've never heard of this author, go out, find this book, or I have another one of his books up there called Samurai. He's a specialist in Eurasian history, of the classes and of that kind of area and the periods, pretty much ancient, but he's a travel writer, as they call them, which is he travels about and he writes about all the landscapes that are like Genghis or Chinggis Khan and Kublai Khan had travelled, and where the great expanses of the Mongol Empire. And that's his book. Like, if you've ever had a book or read anything about empires, like the rise and fall of, that is pretty much this. But um, it talks about very interesting little details, like uh, when Genghis was young and like in 1206, because Genghis, he was called Temujin before in 1206, before 1206. He was called Temujin, and in 1206 he was anointed in the Khanate for uniting the tribes. Um, and he got his name Genghis. Genghis, as we know him in Europe, Genghis Khan. And he went on and he became something of what a demigod after his death, long after. Today in Mongolia, at least when this book was written in like 2015, um, they practiced. There's a Genghis cult. Yes, yeah, an actual Genghis cult in the Mongolian steppe. Um, that they sacrifice things and they pray to Genghis, and the cult today is split up into two different parts. You've got the like occult with their mysticism and their sacrificial ceremonies and rituals, and then you've got the philosophy side of things, which is like we Mongolia is mandated from heaven as Genghis was, and so Mongolia is a great nation through heaven, which is through Genghis. In a strange, not kind of, but kind of way, Genghis is like their Jesus, in a sense that they can worship their the what they call the great blue sky, um, Tengri, otherwise, which is like the god, one singular god, but isn't like the all thing. Didn't create everything. It is everything, um, and people worship the blue sky or Tengri through Genghis, like many Christians might pray through Christ, Jesus Christ, to God, uh, the all creator, that kind of thing. Um, this book, if you don't get it, please, it's really good. It talks about like the this it I don't know how to put it. It's eloquence. It's beautifully written, and it's almost like a fiction. It's that well written. There's It talks about later on when here we go. Like this is, you're not going to be able to read it there because it's backwards, but that that image is a Japanese interpretation of the Mongols when they first invaded uh, Japan in 1274. Here we go, sail down the in 1274. This is quoting sentenced to page 236 of chapter 18, burned by the rising sun. In 1274, having seen his warship sail down the Yangtze and then fight at sea, Kublai looked outwards across the ocean to Japan. Officially, Japan had remarkably little to do with China for 400 years, despite the fact that long before it had taken from China the roots of much of its culture. So, it goes into beautiful detail. Like I said, not just the general rise and fall of the Mongol Empire, but also of the people, like the rulers of Kublai and Genghis, and you've even got like it talks about Ogedei and that kind of the capitals, times, and how he describes the movements and the weathers and the battles. Like the sea was crimson of blood after the battles on the oceans during where is it now? Yes, the conquest of the south. Towards the later part, in the Yangtze River, they had this massive battle where they'd carried supposedly trebuchets and cannons, like early Chinese cannons, on the Mongol Chinese Korean warships, and and John Mann describes it as being the blood was crimson with the bloods of every man that fought. It's very intense. It's very gripping. It's a page turner. Now, the interest in the Mongols is in the eyes of the beholder. It's you like it or you don't really, because you can't read this and kind of like the Mongols or the Mongol history or the empire or that kind of thing. You've got to really like it, really be ignorant. Like before I had read this marvelous book, I was very much alienated by the media and that kind of thing that's talked about like Genghis being this brutal man, which he was, but who wasn't? And it really enlightened me on the real history of it all, and I'm very thankful for that. And I'm no longer alienated. Like they did bad things, they did good things. Not everything is black and white. So please, I implore you. Here's the cover. I know it's backwards. That's really annoying, but nonetheless, it's John Mann, The Mongol Empire. Beautiful, beautiful book. There's even if you like pictures, there's lots of pictures as well. I didn't mean to sound that so condescendingly. It's my accent. I am British after all. There is one beautiful image in here. It's not like laminated like that is, but here it is. It's the Mongol Empire at the height of its power. It's backwards, I know, but well, there you go. And well, that's my review. It's my first book review, so forgive me for it being a bit dull and I'm being a bit stuttery. I ain't rehearsed any of this at all. But I thought I'll give you my thoughts and feelings on a book I very much love. Thank you for watching.